Good morning, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope that helped you feel a little more grounded in this moment. I'm glad that you're here. That activity I basically call mirroring, and there's a lot within that activity. You can choose whatever music that you like. I really love that piece of music by Benji Wertheimer and John Cadott. It's called One River. And there were so many things going on in that activity. There was the swaying to the beat of the music and the rhythm, finding that direct engagement through the body with the music that you're listening to. And also the power of rhythm is very calming. There's a lot of studies on that going back to the rhythm in the body has a calming effect, and particularly for people who've experienced trauma. Activating the vagus nerve. So the vagus nerve is part of the autonomic nervous system, and when you have that long exhale, and singing is a part of that, because singing is basically that long vocalized exhale that physiologically can bring in a sense of calming by activating that vagus nerve. By doing all these things together, it automatically brings the focus in and brings a sense of togetherness. It can also, as we mirror each other, stimulate what's called mirror neurons. We're all doing the same thing. We're seeing our same actions reflected in another's actions, which can then, even if indirectly, subtly, can lead to empathy. This is a wonderful activity to do, like at the start of class, especially if you notice that children are sort of a little dysregulated coming off of the playground or just coming to start school in the morning, and they all arrive feeling differently depending on how their day is going. And so it's just a great way to get everyone settled and bring in a sense of togetherness, come into the body. It's also a great transition activity. So, yes, welcome to Social Emotional Learning in the Elementary Music Classroom. And even though it's titled that, also it doesn't have to be in the elementary music classroom per se. It can be in other educational settings that you use a lot of this philosophy and these activities that I'm going to share with you today. Lots of them are good for elementary, but also you'll notice that there are some things that are good for older kids too, for middle or high school, and even adults. How many of you feel a little more calm or energized maybe after that activity? Great. So I've kind of put things in 3 different categories for this presentation. So music is a very powerful, palpable, direct way to engage the body, the mind, and the heart, the emotions. And so through these activities, you'll notice the use of movement, which we just did in the mirroring. Language, we're going to do some different activities with words, and not only naming emotions, but turning musical activities, connecting it with language lessons. And also relationship to others, self-management, self-regulation, patience in a group, and creating something together and giving each other praise and feedback. So that's sort of like an outline. I'm going to be using a lot of material from my thesis project that I did through SOU about 2 years ago now. So I'll be referring to that, and you'll be able to get that in the library later, and I can also send it to you if you'd like to see it in its entirety. And it's got live links to songs and video and stuff. So yes, also before I start getting into the actual activities is, music's an interesting thing to teach, because there's so many ways to teach it and experience it. So music can be quite mathematical. And when you get into the theory and reading of the music, it can also be very right-brained, the creativity, the simplicity of it. Can be very quite kinesthetic when you're making the music. It's also a wonderful personal empowerment path. So you've probably heard it said that public speaking and singing, especially singing by oneself, are some of people's greatest fears. So when we are making music, particularly singing, it can be very vulnerable. So to create normal, I just want to say, I want to normalize musical experiences for everybody, and to create these safe spaces to explore one's voice and explore music in this real tangible way is super powerful. And many feel very vulnerable in that. So creating these safe places to feel vulnerable, music and movement is a great way to do that. So let's go into some language stuff. I'm going to share with you an activity called Fill in the Blanks. And let's see, share my screen here. And you'll notice that these activities are really great for, excuse me while I scroll a bit, for finding words, helping children find words to describe how they're feeling, putting their thoughts into words in a group setting, and also you'll notice some language lessons, kind of like we're kind of doing song Mad Libs right now, which are really fun. So there are several songs here in the fill in the blanks activity. It says grades 2nd and 3rd, but you could do it with younger. Yeah, if you scaffolded a lot, give them examples, or older. So here is a traditional spiritual song. Basically goes, you gotta sing when your spirit says sing. You gotta sing when the spirit says sing. When your spirit says sing, you gotta sing right along. You gotta sing when the spirit says sing. You can sing your spirit, the spirit, whichever feels right. And then you ask the kids, what do you love to do? What just makes your heart sing? What makes you really excited and you just feel called to do? Make a list of it. Have people raise their hand and let you know, oh, I love to dance. Okay, let's sing that. And when there's a pause in the music, let's strike a pose, let's boogie, you gotta dance when your spirit says dance. You gotta dance when your spirit says dance. So that's a really fun one. And this tune is pretty simple, so people can get it pretty quick because it's repetitive as well. Now, Down by the Bay, a lot of you probably know this one. Rafi is well known for doing it. Funny song. And it also helps with rhyming. First part is echo, down by the bay, where the watermelons grow. So, and then you fill in the blanks. So an example, did you ever see a fly wearing a tie down by the bay? Hey, you guys, what else can we put in there? Okay, so a noun is person, place, or thing, including an animal or an insect like the fly. Anybody have any other ones? Okay, and then, oh, what are they doing? Action, word, verb. And now let's think of something that rhymes with that. And especially with younger kids, you're going to have to give some examples and some prompting. Okay, guys, maybe you need some help. How about rat? Let's put rat in that first blank. Did you ever see a rat blinking a? So what is the rat doing and with who? And then you have, the second blank is a noun. Could be another animal that rhymes with the first blank. Very fun and funny. Sense of humor is so important with holistic learning. If you're happy and you know it, most of us know this song with only the emotion happy. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. But of course, we know as humans there are a wide array of emotions. Part of holistic education is recognizing all these emotions, right? So what are some other feelings we can have? And then have, different kids solicit different answers, maybe make it visual, put it on the board. You might even want to have emojis, with those depicting those different emotions. Sad, okay. What's something that we do when we're sad, or what's something that we can do? And maybe somebody says, give yourself a hug or get a hug. So you can sing, if you're sad and you know it, give a hug. If you're sad and you know it, give a hug. If you're sad and you know it, and so on. Here's one. Thank you for this day. Now, this is a great one for gratitude. As we know, gratitude is a direct way to spirit, is a direct way to rebalancing ourselves, regulating, getting back to finding that light in the shadow. So the song goes, thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day. Thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day. This healing, this healing, this healing day. This healing, this healing, this healing day. What else are you grateful for? Maybe someone says their mom. Thank you for my mom, Spirit. Thank you for my mom. My wonderful, my wonderful, my wonderful mom. That's a really fun one. One more activity for language. This is a song that I wrote. Oops, sorry, I scrolled too far. And now this song, I didn't write the whole thing. I based it on a song, I'm a Nut, I think it's called, that Leroy Pollins wrote a long time ago. There it is. And I added a verse and I added a bridge, and then I have a poem that goes with it. So I think, let's see, once you're in here, you can click on this. This is an interactive link and you can hear the actual song. But I really love the analogy of an acorn and an oak to growth mindset, right? This tiny acorn grows into this huge, magnificent oak. How did that happen? Wow, we all started from a tiny seed from one cell, which divided, which quadrupled, and it became a human. How amazing. So that's really fun to do. And then, there's always something larger than ourselves and always something smaller. So that is a profound lesson. You can also take it into a science lesson. But I encourage you to check out that song there with the link. Here's the poem and how I performed it before. I believe I did this with second and third graders, maybe some first. But we took the poem, which I'll read to you, and I assigned a student to each stanza. And as they read it, all the other kids did movement, like behind them on the risers. And then we went into the song with some instruments. So here's the poem that I wrote. It's kind of Dr. Seussish. Like the oak, we all start small. And as we grow, we get more tall. But no matter how tall, things can be hard. Our limbs may shake from storms that start. As the winds of change grow wild and free, challenges come for you and me. But for every hard, there is an easy, and life can be so very pleasing. For with every fall, there is a rise, and joyfulness comes to those who try. So it's accessible for kids and fun because we've got the rhyming words too. And again, so you add the movement. So I'm always looking for ways to add maybe other curriculum, especially language is an easy one, easy enough one, like I showed earlier, movement, singing. Not talking a lot today about adding instruments, but adding instruments, percussion, drums, also a possibility. So finally, the last thing I want to talk about is relationships. And again, if you see this thesis, there's a lot of things on there, a lot of philosophy, some research, more activities, and now how they fit social emotional learning and music standards and those things. So the sandwich style of giving feedback, many of you are probably aware of, is giving a compliment, offering some constructive criticism and feedback, and then ending with a compliment. You want to be careful when you open up constructive criticism, students giving it to each other. You have to develop a lot of trust and model how to do it. So it depends on the situation. What I do want to say about this activity is I use a lot of positive praise in the classroom, peers giving each other positive praise. Super powerful. Since I wrote this thesis, I moved from teaching elementary level to teaching middle school and high school. And I notice, especially at those years when, you know, in the early adolescence, early teen years, when there's a lot of self-consciousness, a lot of them want to sing for each other and do a solo, but they're scared, you know, and you see this a lot in older, upper elementary too. Sometimes the little ones really want to do it, as long as they're raised in a nurturing environment like that at home. But as I said before in my opening, a lot of people are nervous about singing by themselves. And the more that you can create exploration around that and safe experiences, the easier. I also have done a lot of workshops for adults in voice and singing. And what I hear from a lot of people is, wow, I have been scared to sing for so long because my parents said I couldn't sing, or they said, you know, they had that philosophy, children should be seen but not heard. I was in a choir as a kid, and the teacher heard that I was off and told me to mouth the words, like all these things. So we have to be really careful when we're encouraging singing in particular. So what I have done is, a child does sings by themselves and shares something like that. And then who's got an appreciation? Who's got appreciation for Holly, what she just did? And they hear these compliments from their peers. Also in this social awareness part, and in a group, music is a really good way to get teamwork and experiences in teamwork and social awareness, because you're creating something together. You're all singing or playing a song together. You all have your own part that you play if you're in a more advanced group and you're learning harmony or whatever. And your own part feeds into the whole if you're doing it, if you're trying it, and it creates this whole bigger piece. And what is that saying? Music is greater than the sum of its parts, or is greater than each part alone, something like that. It's also really good for self-regulation, control of oneself, patience, especially for little kids. If you're doing, having them play instruments, a lot of times they have to wait their turn, right? So learning all of that too. So at this point, I would love to hear what everybody does in their own world of teaching. And if any of this spoke to you and something you can use in your own classroom, maybe you're already doing something it reminds you of. And before we go into that part, I did want to say too about lyrics and languaging and words and music that I had forgotten to say before, but we can look at songs with pro-social lyrics. You know, The Greatest Love of All, Whitney Houston, about self-love, or a song about anti-bullying, or inspiring us to be our best self in some way. Surrender, Let It Be by the Beatles, right? And we can all think of songs that have these lyrics that bring us back to memories, that elicit emotions, that bring up stories for us. All right, thank you so much. And let's hear some other voices here.